Okay. Kept counting at the minion, how many there might be. No, I was counting at this morning 7:30 minion, how many people we would have, just in case.
And I couldn't resist that video.
Why on Sunday are there so many more? Is it?
No,
It varies.
it varies sometimes. Zev, you okay? Okay. Michael is not here today.
Good news,
He's not here today.
We told him it's upstairs. Take the day off. No, it's upstairs. Told me next door.
So I sent Gary a note to put the extra table in to help with, okay, and to put the extra leaf in there, and it works. So I think that makes it a little more convenient over there. And we're not that far, it should work. All right. I'm going to start us off with the sponsors as everybody gets in. Harvey, you may have to go around that. Well, no, I guess you can still. It's just going to be
My
tight.
legs are small, thin.
Your legs are thin? Okay.
My legs are thin. That's about it.
I will move in then. All right. Okay, May. All right. Year of Learning by Garlic in memory of Malka Prom Tzvi Hirsch. Yosef Meir ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch. Henya Rivka Pro Rosner bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch. In memory of family murdered in the Holocaust. Harav Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Yaakov. Sarah bat Ephraim. Yisrael David ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch. Ephraim ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch. Adia bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch. Miriam bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch. Pestel bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch. Ben Harav Tzvi Hirsch. Leslie and Gail Kaplan in memory of their parents. Harry and Marjorie Siddell. And Irving and Pro Kaplan. Children, grandchildren, her memory. Did Sid get it? Charlie Gelfenstein and Sam Levine in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Mata bat Asher. Friends of Nina Monester, Nechama Asna bat Yitzchak Aharon. Many friends of Stephen Victor, Lezecher Nishmat Simcha Melech, Meir Leib Halevi. Friends of Marcy Kurtz, in memory by Lydia and Abe Krause's many friends, in honor of their 50th anniversary. Jill and Perry Meltzer, in memory of her father, Yaakov ben Yosef. A Week of Learning by Charlie Gelfenstein and Sam Levine, in memory of Charlie's wife and Sam's sister, Menucha Sarah Bad Yechiel Michal, and in memory of Sam's mother and Charlie's mother-in-law, Zissel Bad Yehoshua. Leslie and Gail Kaplan, in memory of his mother, Pesha Bat Shmo Yitzchak Halevi B'Tzipora. Andrea and David Olney, in memory of her mother, Edeltzina Bat Shimshon. Minnie Shavrik, in memory of her husband, Yeshayahu ben Nechemia Mordechai. Today is the 28th, a day of learning by Joan Carlson and Marilyn Kornblum, in memory of their grandmother, Revitzin Miriam Bas Yoel Manucha Bracha Alashon. Anne and Lester Arfi, in commemoration of the Shloshim of Lila Katz, Leah Micha Bat Yehuda. Zahava Bam, in memory of her aunt, Esther Bas Reb Yaakov Halevi. Okay. And we continue with our wishes for health. Yosef ben Zahava Esther. Okay. May Shemas have an aliyah, crank Rafia, Velta Yeshua Shema Taliyah, and L'chol B'nai Israel a good Gaben Shtiach. Amen. Okay. All right. Okay. So the Gemara gets more complicated. What can I say? Okay. All right. We stopped yesterday on the bottom of Kaf Amud Beis. Okay. I would say if you're using Art Scroll, it's 20B5. Okay. Right? It's the next to the last line on the Gemara. Okay, we're all comfy, everybody? Okay, all right, we've got enough. That helped, I think, adding the extra table, right? Okay. All right, so the Gemara comes back. Itmar, what was it said about? It said about the following. Biat Kohen Gadol Ba'almana. Okay, so we come back to that issue, which we said was, according to one view, an Isur mitzvah. Right. According to another view, it was an Isur kedusha. Right? Okay, but in any case, just a reminder that it was based on the fact that it was a lav, a regular, ordinary lav, and not a lav based on korah. Okay, so that's what we're saying. All right? I think Sid had to go back to his apartment, so he said he was going to pick up hopefully on Zoom. At least I tried. I don't know the number by heart, but I tried to show him. Anyway, Itmar. What? You gave it to him? Thank you. Okay. So what happens? Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar. You've got a machloket. Marvin, you okay? All right. All right. Chadama eina poteret sarata. According to one, it does not exempt the co-wife. V'chadama poteret sarata. And the other said it does exempt the co-wife. By the way, notice, just I want to point something out real quick. In Art Scroll's note on 20B5, note number 42, okay? It's a fairly lengthy note, but I only want to imply that the last paragraph, at any rate, says Art Scroll, according to Rashi, the dispute here is whether the act of Yibum is effective in regard to releasing both the widow and the co-wife. Okay, right, so that is, okay. So we get now, as we go over to the top of Kaf Aleph, today's daf, what do we say? Okay, now to clarify, Ba'almana min hanisu'in kuli alma lo pligi, the lo patra. When it's a situation that the widow of the Kohen Gadol's bride, right, and this is a situation of marriage, everybody is in agreement that they don't argue that the co-wife is not exempted, right? Why? Why? Because a positive commandment, which is here in this case Yibum, right, does not override, okay, the two aspects, one of a taseh, right, one of a and one of a naseh, okay, in these two situations.
Positive commandment of Surah, you can't.
Right, and the other,
monologue.
right, okay, but I thought also I was going to say one, the aseh of Hid Kaddish town,
Right.
okay, for the
Either
Kohen,
that or-
that was the, and the other,
Right.
okay. Ki pligi, where do they argue? Ba'almana min ha'erusim. When it's a situation of a widow from the brother, Kohen Gadol's brother, in regards to engagement. Man da'amar poteret, according to the one who says the co-wife is exempted, ate aseh v'dache et lo ta'aseh. Why? Because remember that we said that's a simple love, right? Because so you, well, that may be, but that,
she's been-
but that has nothing to do. Her status doesn't have anything to do with it, maybe. Okay. All I'm saying is it's a lav only. And therefore the assay overrides what I'll call a normal or regular lav. Okay, in this case.
Because she's not, there was no fiducian.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
it's Kedushin, but not.
it's right,
Just Eris.
right. It's Erusin.
not Eris.
Okay, that's why I said I'm not sure if her status of virgin or not has implications. Umanda, okay, Umanda, right? Yes, his assay is
You
that
would
he
be
has.
fulfilling the assay of the,
So
if
it's
she's
only
the
as
Basua, you
Lotus
would be
says, not
fulfilling.
as trying to
Right.
help.
The question is, does he have to? You have the love of the fact that he has to marry. You have an assay that he's supposed to marry a virgin,
Correct.
the Kohen Gadol. Okay, right. So if that's my important point, couldn't I combine and say that assay plus the assay of Yibum? Then I have two assays that should overcome a single love.
Correct. And that's what the Gemara is saying.
Okay, and isn't that then what my argument should be? But
Correct.
the Gemara doesn't present that as my argument. That's what I'm pointing out. Okay, because then I would have more than just an assay doche elota assay.
You don't,
I would have two assays that should overcome a love, and it's only a regular love. It's not a okay. That's the point. Okay, so what happens? All right. So in that case, right? So I simply say, well, I come back to that argument. Umandamar eina poteret, and the one who says it does not exempt a co-wife, lo ate asay v'dachei et lo ta'aseh, and the assay here does not override. Okay, the lo ta'aseh. Why? Kevan de'efshar b'chalitza, because I have a means. Okay, as Reish Lakish suggested on the previous Talmud, to fulfill the requirement of both satisfying the love and the assay through chalitza. Okay, so what happens? So meitive. So we challenge this with the following. Our Braita said, "Ve'im ba'alu kanu," right? That if they had relations, he acquired her as his wife, right? Tiyufta. That would seem to be a proof text. Okay, certainly a Braita has more weight, so to speak, than somebody's logic. All right, let's see. Lema, let us say that. Tiyu nami tiyufta deresh lakish. Shall we say then that this Braita also comes then as a proof text against Reish Lakish's view? Because we just suggested that he was the one who initially came forward with this idea,
concept of chalitza.
right? That it satisfied both.
Right.
Amar lach Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish wants to argue back and tell us, Ki amina ana. When I say this, heichad demekayme mitzvah. This is where one is actually fulfilling the mitzvah. And here, I think it was Charlie or somebody else raised the point. Are we saying here that really Yibum is the key mitzvah and not chalitza?
And that's what the Gemara is
Okay.
saying.
Even because Yaakov Shem Lach.
Okay,
Right.
It's a follow-up.
Right.
as
right.
if chalitza is only,
It's not really
a secondary
the
element,
Weasley guy.
right? Remember, that was our whole discussion in the first parak, right?
Still is.
Aval hacha, but here, chalitza b'makom yibum lav mitzvahi. Okay, and it's not the ultimate or the preferred, okay, way of satisfying the mitzvah. That's what the point. Okay, so nevertheless, the Gemara doesn't tell us, is this a tiyufta to Reish Lakish or not? We have to assume if Reish Lakish can come back and give an answer,
He did give the answer.
and he gave an answer, which according to his view is still acceptable, because it means that he may not hold that Yibum is the primary, we said, that's why we saw that there were individuals who said both Yibum and Chalitza are equal mitzvahs. Exactly. Okay, so what happens? We now go on. Amar Rava, says Rava, Remez l'shniot min haTorah minayin. So we come back now to our earlier argument. Remember, again, we said that you had to do chalitza based on either Isur mitzvah or Isur kedusha. And we defined one of those again as shniot erva. Erva, right? Okay. So the Gemara asks, right? Remez l'shniot min haTorah minayin. What's the basis? Can we find a pasuk? We're going to see that there are multiple attempts here to find that answer. Okay? First example, right? According to Rava, Shneamar, ki et kol hatoivot ha'el asu anshe haaretz. All of these abominations were done by the people of the land. The fact that the language of the text says ha'el, these, kashot, imply that there are severe prohibitions. Miklal, the ikarachot, that this seems to imply then that there are less severe, I don't want to use the word softer, okay? Less severe, also prohibitions of erva, therefore implying that they should be shniot. In other words, some that the Torah mandates and some that are the Rabbanan, okay? Umay ninhu shniot. And what then do we mean by these lesser or secondary? Umay mashma da'il lishna kashahu. So the Gemara challenges this by saying, how do you know that the language in this pasuk of ha'el clearly implies more stringencies? Right? Dichtiv. Why? Because we have another pasuk that says, Ve'et elei ha'aretz lakach. When it came to the example of the first exile, okay, into right? When that first occurred, okay, it uses the word elei, the mighty, the strong. Okay, in that case, all right, which would imply that therefore that's the parallel to ha'el, okay, as well. All right. Lema pligei the Rabbi Levi. Let us say then that this disagrees with the view of Rabbi Levi. The Amar Rabbi Levi, who says, Kashe onshin shel midot, yoter me onshin shel arayot. That there's more stringency regarding the punishment vis-a-vis measurements than there are regarding punishments of erva. We're going to see. Okay. Shazene Amar Bahen El, that in this one they use the word El clearly. Vizene Amar Ela, and this one they simply use the word Ela. Okay. El Kashe, Ve'ela Kashe Me'el. Maybe it's possible that Ela is stringencies, and Ela is more stringent than those earlier stringencies. Okay, so the Gemara clarifies. Gabe arayot nami. Maybe this is true also in regards to arayos. Haktiv. Here it's also written the word ele. Hahula ma'ute midot mikare. Okay, maybe this comes to eliminate those examples with measurements that have a karet punishment. Ela, okay, like with Ela. My chumrahu. So what then is their stringency? Hani efshar b'tshuva. In one case, maybe we're talking about a situation where one can either repent, pay back,
By
do
a
some
riot, one could do tshuva
right?
for the mayor.
Think of I thought of Gezel offhand, where you have to pay a certain amount, a fifth or whatever.
Right.
Okay, that's part of the tshuva of repenting for doing the thievery. Okay, so there is a means of declare tshuva spelled out, right? Hani lo efshar b'tshuva. With arayas, there
No,
is
the reverse,
okay.
the reverse.
Yes.
By
Other way.
midas, there's no
Mid-
chance to do
Need
it.
it, you're right. But with
Sometimes it's a
The
public.
guy
thievery.
leaves and you can't
Thievery.
remeasure, he can't return it.
right.
Yeah, but they say
You-
they give it to. they
You
smash
weigh
it
the
or
scale wrong and the guy walks out of the store, you can't return it to him, you don't know who he is, that you can't do tshuva.
Tshuva is
Right.
in
something. Well,
between
the
the
Rabbanim
person
said
and the
you can give it
individual.
to something that the community needs, like building a mikveh.
That could be,
It's
but that the question is that part of the
But,
tshuva?
I mean,
process?
the Torah's tshuva was Heishiv as Xela. You have to
Right,
give it back.
return it
That's the Torah clearly says. You can't give it back once the guy leaves. You're
Okay, right. So that, okay, so I'll make a note on that.
What do you do for Erev? How do you?
You can't.
Erva, he can do tshuva.
You stop?
I mean, tshuva, the Rambam says is also zman, also mokum. So
If you came up
if
with this
it came to
second
the
time, you
same
wouldn't do
woman
it.
in the same place and you didn't do anything, you did tshuva.
Right, it's between the individual and the self, not
Right.
the community.
Right.
You could redo yourself, you can repay the community that you stole thousands of
Okay.
dollars. You
All
don't
right.
know who you stole
In any case, the Gemara didn't like that attempt at
Either.
proving the basis for Shniot, so it gives us another alternative. Rav Yehuda Amar Mehacha. Rav Yehuda says an alternative origin of Shniot comes with the following. All right, from this pasuk, Izen v'hiker tikein mishalim harbe. Okay, referring to Shlomo. Okay, that he heard, he examined, he established. All right, all sorts of parables and things like that to bring support to certain halachas.
Right.
Okay, Va'amar Ula, and Ula says, Amar Rabbi Elazar, Kodim Shabbat Shlomo. That before Solomon came, Torah was compared to a basket without handles. Okay? Ad Shabbat Shlomo va'asala aznayim. Until Solomon came and he put the handles on the basket. In other words, you were able then to move it the same way you're easier to move a basket with handles. Okay, think of a large wicker basket in their day. Okay, if it didn't have handles, the only way to move it would be to lift from underneath. Okay, once it had handles, you could lift from the sides and move it. So the same way, the idea is that those mishalim of Shlomo were able to help you direct the halachas into one category, another category, things like that. Okay? Does the Gemara accept that example? No. Okay. What happens? It tries another case. All right, Rabbi Yoshaya Amar Mehacha says from here, Par'ehu al ta'avor bo shita me'alav va'avor. Okay, another pasuk. All right, what happens? Amar Rav Ashi, Mashal de Rabbi Hoshia. Okay, so Rabbi Hoshia gives us a pasuk, and Rav Ashi tries to explain it as follows. Lama hadavar domer, what is it compared to? La Adam mishamer pardes, to a person who is supervising or watching a orchard. Okay, what happens? Where does he stand? The guard for the orchard, right? Mishamro mi bachutz, if he's supervising it, watching it from outside, kulo mishamer, all of it is protected, guarded. Mishamro mi bifnim, but if he's standing in front, inside the orchard, okay, what happens? Shelefanav mishtamer, sheleacharav eno mishtamer. What's in front of him, what he sees, is guarded. What's behind him, okay, is not guarded. All right? So Rav Ashi is trying to clarify the statement of Rabbi Hoshai. Vahad Rav Ashi, but the Gemara that comes along and says, but that explanation of Rav Ashi, bidutahi. Two interesting different explanations. of translations, I'm sorry. One translated it as a mistake. One translated as a fiction. In either case, super interesting that the Gemara would say that Rav Ashi, given his importance and status, that he goofed up. Okay, all right. So what happens? Hatam shelifanav mihamishtamer. There, what's before him certainly is guarded, is protected. Hachav here, love shniot. If they were not secondary, paga be'erva gufa. He would have encountered the prohibition of erva directly itself. Okay, Rav Kahana Amar Mehach, and therefore the Gemara suggests another alternative. Right, Rav Kahana suggests the basis for shniot is following: Ushmartem et mishmarti, that you should observe my protections, guardians, my guard,
My protections,
Right?
my things.
my things, right? Namely, asu mishmeret the mishmarti. Okay, I understood that to mean it's like the concept of doing a siyag, the Torah. You have a particular item that's a prohibition, and therefore you do something to guarantee that you don't even come close to that particular prohibition.
Correct.
That would be the parallel
Right.
I could suggest. Amarle Abaye the Rav Yosef. But Abaye raises the question to Rav Yosef, Ha da'araita. These, in other words, the original, the basic erva, we said the 21, of which the 15 or 16 came up in the first parak, right? What happened? They are clearly d'oraita. He d'oraita, upirshu rabbana. They are from their Torah, and they were interpreted by the rabbis. So the Gemara says, hold on a second. Kol ha-Torah nami pirshu rabbana. Hey, the rabbis interpreted this. How can you say that that is a valid explanation for shniot when what we were looking for was really a clear Torah statement of origin? Okay, ela midrabanan, right? Ukra ismachta ba'alma, but rather the shniot are clearly rabbanan, and whatever psukim we find
It's only something to hang its
substantiate.
hat on.
Exactly, is substantial, right? Okay, let's go on to a new topic, says the Gemara. Tana Rabbanan, says the Braita. Mahen shniot. What are these secondary erva situations? Okay, now I'm going to go through it. The translations, both Koren and the Art Scroll, give translations, and they both give diagrams. Okay?
They're the same.
Okay. So Mahen Shniot, what are they? Number one, Aim Imo, the mother of his mother. In other words, it's the Yabam's grandmother. Okay, now wait a second. Makes me ask the question, are we talking paternal grandmother or maternal grandmother? Let's wait and see. Second, Ve'em Aviv. All right, so Aim Imo has got to be the maternal grandmother.
His
Ve'em
mother's mother.
Aim Ima Aviv, his paternal grandmother. Okay, so no difference between them there so far. Next, Ve'eshet Avi Aviv, and the wife of his father's father. Okay, that's his paternal grandfather's wife, right? Next, Ve'eshet Avi Imo, the wife of the father of his mother. Okay, that is the wife of his maternal grandfather.
Right.
Okay, why one? Anyway, Next, ve'eshet achi ha'av min ha'em. Okay, the wife of the brother of his father through his mother. Okay, next, ve'eshet achi ha'em min ha'av. Right, that is the wife of the brother of his father. In other words, his aunt, right, through his father. Next, the kalat beno, the daughter-in-law of his son. Okay. Next,
Of his son's son.
no, this is the kalat beno.
No,
This
Right.
is right. His son's daughter-in-law. Okay. No, not a grand. No,
his
Okay.
daughter.
his no, his
That's what it
son's
clearly says.
his son's daughter-in-law.
Son.
Okay.
The
Next,
other one's one of them.
right, the kalat bito, and next is his daughter's daughter-in-law. Okay, right, or basically she would be his granddaughter by marriage. Okay, we would clarify. Okay, come on, going on. Umutar adam be'eshet chamav, and it's permissible for a person, okay, to have take as a wife the wife of his father-in-law, ube'eshet chorgo, and the wife of his stepson. Okay. Now, why might that be the case? The father-in-law, okay, or the stepson are not. Okay, that's the only thing I could think of. Va'asur bebat chorgo, but he's prohibited with the daughter of his stepson. V'chorgo, and the stepson, mutar beishto ubito, okay, is permitted regarding his wife on his daughter. Va'eshet chorgo, and the wife of his stepson, omeret, she says to him, to the other, ani muteret lach, I'm permitted to you, ubiti asura lach, but my daughter is forbidden to you. Bat chorgo, the daughter of his stepson, deoraitahi. We say that is prohibited by the Torah. Why? Dichtib, because we have part of pasuk that says, et bat bena ve'et bat bita. Okay? Namely, his granddaughter, or the daughter of his son, or the daughter of his daughter. So that would seem to include, right, the daughter of the stepson. Mishum de kavai mitnei l'sefer. But the Gemara then says, but that was established already, okay, when we taught it at the end. Namely, Eshet Chargo Omeret Lo Ani Muteret Lachu Biti Asuralach. When the end of this Braita told us, right, that the daughter of the wife of the stepson can say, I'm permitted to you, but my daughter is forbidden to you. The Afal Gav, the Biti Asuralach Midoraita. And despite the fact that my daughter is prohibited to you from the Torah, Bididi, regarding myself, Lo Gazur Be Rabbanan, that the rabbis never made a decree. Okay? Now, what happens, says the Gemara? Tana Resha, Nami Bat Chargo. It was taught at the beginning of the Braita, also the daughter of the stepson. Ihachi, if that's the case, Eshet Chamav Nami Tema. Maybe, therefore, I would also say the wife of his father-in-law. It also should say that. She should also, therefore, be saying, an example.
I am, the wife is mutter, but the daughter is
all
not.
right, maybe she should say the same thing as before. Ani muteret lach ubiti asuralach. I'm permitted to you, and my daughter is forbidden to you. Why? Dahavya achot ishto. because she would then be the sister of his wife. And 21A1, 21A4, okay, has a diagram there in art school. Okay? Ha psikale, ha lo psikale. Here it was defined or clear, categorically stated. Here it wasn't defined or categorically stated. Okay, a new piece. Amar Rav, says Rav. Arba nashim, there are 4 women. Yesh lahen hapsak. There are of these 4 women where there is a very clear distinction, the category. Nakit Rav biyadei tzlach. Rav was able to, so to speak, hold in his hand. In other words, he was able to grasp the idea immediately of 3 out of the 4, namely, Eshet achi ha'em min ha'av, the wife of the brother of the mother from the father, the Eshet achi ha'av min ha'em, and the wife of the brother of the father through the mother, the kalato, and the bride, and the daughter-in-law, right? The Zeiri Mosif af Eshet Avi Imo. And Zeiri added the 4th one would be the wife of the father of his mother. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. The Simenach, and the way, the mnemonic device to remember it, the Eli de Rav. Ula Eli, one above, one smaller one above what Rav had. Okay, so what happens? V'Rav, my tama lo chashivle, and why wasn't he able to think of that 4th example, right? Michlefa le be'eshet avi aviv. Why? Because he got it mixed up with the example of the wife of the father's father. V'zeiri, lahatam shchiach va'azil. And why was Zeiri able to keep it easily in mind? Right? Lahatam shchiach va'azil. Because Zeiri would frequently visit, okay, I guess his grandfather's family. Lahacha lo shchiach va'azil. And the other way, in other words, the wife of his father's father, okay,
Wife's family, you can go
he
visit.
didn't go visit them frequently. All right. Now, what about Kalato? What do we see there? Like I said, it's a lot of Gemara. All right. Da'araitahi. But don't we already have that is a prohibition from the Torah? Okay. Dichtiv, as it's written, Ervat Kalatcha lo tigaleh. Okay. The erva of your daughter-in-law, you should not reveal. Ema, I might say there, Kalat Bano. That's the daughter-in-law of his son. The Kalat Bano, Yesh Lahefzek. And we say, therefore, that the prohibition regarding the daughter-in-law of his son, that there's a clear statement, a clear declaration. Vahatanya. But here it's taught in the Braita. Kalato Erva. That his daughter-in-law is considered an erva. Kalat Bano Shniya, that the daughter-in-law of his son, okay, is a Shniya, a secondary erva. V'chena ta'omer bibno. So maybe you're going to say the same thing with regards his son. Uben Beno, or the son of his son, ad sof kol hadarot, for all following generations. In other words, they would continue to be prohibited. Ela ema.
How could you say Yesh Lahem Hefsek? It
Right.
stops.
All right. Ela ema. Therefore, I would say as follows: Kalat bito. We're talking about the daughter-in-law of his daughter. The Amar Rav Chisda, as Rav Chisda says, Ha milta migavra Rabba Shamiele. Says, this thing I learned from a great man. Umano, and who was it? Rav Ami. It was Rav Ami. Koren has a nice note, by the way, of why Rav Ami would be considered a great man, okay, who he learned from, and why after a certain generation, the head of the yeshiva there passed, and therefore Rav Ami became considered the Gadol Hador. Okay. Lo asru kala ela mipnei kala, that he did not permit, okay, or he did not forbid really the daughter-in-law, okay, except because of a daughter-in-law. Okay, it was the daughter-in-law's daughter-in-law. Va'amru, right? And they said, Va'amruli kilida'ai. And they said as follows, right? Namely, milfaga havit. Okay? He said, you're going to become a teacher. Right? So what does that mean? Amina, I thought, okay, so he's giving us this whole story.
An explanation of what he thought he
Right,
meant.
right. Namely, Igava Rabba Havina, if I'm going to become a great person, a great teacher, a great leader, Asbarami Da'ati, I should be able to explain it from my own knowledge.
What
These are
Rabami
astrologers,
said.
What?
right?
What?
These are astrologies, and you can't follow the astrologers.
Well, we don't know. Okay, I would explain it from my own understanding.
Right.
I mikre dardaki havina, if I'm going to be simply a Bible teacher for children, in other words, teach on the elementary level as opposed to, right? Havina, esbaram, right? If that's the case, ashayla mirabanan, the atulabe kanishta. I'll ask a question of the rabbis that do come to the synagogue. Okay? Hashta savarta midate. Here, he then logically explained it from his own concept, his own mind. Lo asru kalat bito, that they didn't prohibit the daughter-in-law of his daughter. Ela mishum kalat beno, were it not for the fact of the daughter-in-law of his son. Amarle Abai the Rabba. And Abai then says to Rabba, Esbaralach kigon kalatad be Rab Sitai. I'll explain it to you because it could be like the example of the daughter-in-law of the household of Bar Sitai. Okay? In other words, he was
He had
explaining.
a daughter-in-law, the son, a daughter-in-law,
Right.
the daughter.
In other words, to give an example of a particular family where he could show that there was both a son and a daughter of the head of the household, and each of them had married children, and their married children, that was the case.
Right.
Okay. All right. Rav Papa Amar, Kegon Kalatad be Rav Papa Bar Abba. So he gave another example, right? Rav Ashi Amar, Kegon Kalatad be Mary Bar Isaac. Okay, Bar Isaac. All right, so that's another example. So they each gave examples of families where it would be known that you had these multiple generations, and the multiple generations could have lived within the same large household, okay? And therefore, that's the case. Okay, new topic. So they asked us as follows. Eishit achi ha'em min ha'em mahu. The wife of the brother of the mother from this father, what's her status? Eishit achi ha'av min ha'em. The wife of the brother of the father. Min ha'em, right? What is that? Ve'eishit achi ha'em min ha'av. And the wife of the brother of the mother. Okay, so it's paternal aunt, paternal uncle, paternal aunt, maternal aunt. Okay, one from the mother, one from the father, right? De'ikat sad ha'ab. Okay, when we have it on the side from the father, who de gazro rabbana? That's where the rabbis made a decree. Aval hecha delekat sad ha'ab. Lav gazru bahen rabbana. But where it was not from the lineage, I'll use that word for the moment, okay, of the father, the rabbis did not make a decree. Oh, Dilma, or perhaps Lo Sheni, right? Lo Shina, there's no difference. Amar Rav Safra said as follows: He gufa gzera, it itself is a decree. Va'ana nikum v'nigzor gzera l'gzera. And shall we make one gzera on top of another? In other words, if shnios is already a gzera, would we make another one on top of that one? Amar Rava, says Rava, atu kuhu lav gzera l'gzeranin. Since then, isn't all of it a gezerah on top of a gezerah? Imo erva. His mother is clearly an erva. Im imo shniya. The mother of his mother is a second level. All right?
It's a shnia,
Is a shniya erva.
not also in the Torah.
Right? Forbidden by Rabbanan.
That's the Gezerah.
That's the gezerah.
Gezerah.
Right. V'gazru al aim aviv mishum aim imo. Excuse me. And then they made a decree on the mother of his father because through the father, right? Right? Mishum aim imo. Mishum aim imo. Through the mother of his father. V'tamamai. So here we're saying that they do sometimes make a gezerah on a gezerah. V'tamamai, and the reasoning why? Kulhu debei ima ravti karule. They were all from the same mother's household, large mother. What's large mother? Grandmother. Okay, that's in fact, you'd still use the same term either in modern Hebrew today. Well, savta is all right, but they use savta rabba for great grandmother. Yeah, right. They still use that same concept. Okay, Eshet Aviv Erva, the wife of his father is Erva. Eshet Aviv Shnia.
And they call the grandmother, whether it's from the mother, from father,
exactly.
So it's the same.
And the wife of the father's father is declared rabbinically, right? A gezerah, that's a shnia.
Right.
And then on top of that, the gazru al eshet avi imo mishum eshet avi aviv. All right. So that's let's say, go back to the wife of the father of the mother through the wife of the father's father. Okay, all of that. Also, so it again shows the example of gezerah on gezerah. V'tamamai, and the reasoning why? Kulhu debei abba rabba karule, because they are all from the same grandfather or great grandfather's household. Okay.
I thought it's an argument against Gezerah.
No, it's an argument in
It's
favor.
They
Shows
call them all the same
But
names, so you
it's
can't
not
make a
really
difference
Gezerah,
between whether they
Gezerah,
come from the
by
mother
saying
or the
it's-
father.
It's the larger group. It's the same shnia.
Right.
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 It's
It's not
It's
a real
almost the
Gezerah,
same. So Eshet Achi Av again, Eshet wife of the brother of the father from the mother. Okay, is a shnia. V'gazru al Eshet Achi Ha'em min ha'av mishum Eshet Achi Ha'av min ha'em. Again, v'tamamai, why? Mishum dekulu debei dodi karile, because they were all the same. Again, household, same family.
and.
Okay, in this case, it was before we saw it
They're
was
all
a,
called the same term and, whether they
Right.
come from
In
the
other words,
father or they come from the mother.
so what happens is, originally, the Gemara said, maybe we only make these decrees when it's through the father's side of the family. Now we see examples, that's not the case. That even when it's through the mother's side, if there is a clear family bloodline together,
Because since they're called an aunt,
right?
aunt doesn't distinguish between the father
Right.
the mother. So therefore, they made the Gezerah equally
Equally on either
to
side.
cover. Oh,
What's the name? That shows that it's not really a new Gezerah. It's an extension of
It's
the
an
original.
extension of the original.
Right.
So what do we mean? Tashma, listen to the following. The Chi'ata Rav Yehuda Bar Shila, when Rav Yehuda Ben Shila came, and he says as follows, Amrei b'ma'arava. What do they say in Eretz Yisrael? Kol sheb'nekeva erva b'zachar gazru al ishto mishum shniya. Wherever there was a female line of erva regarding the male, the rabbis made a decree in terms of the wife that she would be a shniya. Okay? V'amar Rabba uklalahu, and you say this is a general principle. Chamoto erva. What about the fact that his mother-in-law is an erva? Eshet chamav muteret. The wife of the father-in-law is permitted. Bat chamoto erva. The daughter of his father-in-law is erva. Eshet ben chamoto. The wife of the son of his father-in-law, muteret, is permitted. Bat chamav erva. The daughter of his father-in-law is erva. Eshet ben chamav, the wife of the son of his father-in-law. Is the wife of the stepson, Bat Chorgato, the daughter of his stepson, Erva, Eshet ben Chargo, the wife of the son of his stepson, Muteret is permitted. Vahad de Rav Yehuda Bar Shila Latuye Mai. And that of Rav Yehuda ben Shila to include what? Lav Etuye Eshet Achi Ha'em Min Ha'em. Didn't it come to exclude the wife of the brother of the mother from the mother? The kol should to include, all right, right, to include the wife of the brother of the mother, okay, from the mother. In other words, his maternal aunt, okay. In that case, the kol should be nekeva erva, that we said wherever there was the nekeva erva, b'zachar gazru ishto mishum shniya. That therefore, with regards to the male side, the rabbis decreed that was a shniya erva. Ma'ishnahani u'ma'ishnahani. So what difference is this side? What difference is that side? Here, bechad kiddushin mikerev la, hani ad deika tre kiddushin lo mikerev lahu. Okay, the answer is being, here in this case, bechad kiddushin. There was one, I want to call it couple, one ceremony, one matrimony, okay, that brought the person into the family. Hani and these others, ad deika tre kiddushin, until there were two occasions of marriage. Okay, in other words, it's two steps. Okay, right? Lo mikarev laho. He does not come close to the yavam there. Now, what happens? Okay, maybe we should stop right there. All right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, Rabbi Chanani ben Kashmir, it's like Baruch Hu Tzvot Yisrael Ficha Chabelam Shalom Mitzvot Shnei Amar Neich Litzman Tzidko Yagdil Torah V'Yadir Rabbanan Kadosh. Amen.
Raja